It's been a while, and I've had some time to dig up some more of the most obscure facts, tips, and secrets hidden throughout Guild Wars 2. If you haven't seen my last list of lesser known Guild Wars tidbits, I'll link it, and I'll give you the same challenge as I did there. If you can get through this entire video and you don't learn one new thing, then leave a comment and let me know how cool you are. And if you do learn something, then please also still do a YouTube interaction for the algorithm. And with that out of the way, let's get right into it. When you get a pop-up to enter certain instances, like a raid, there is a small info icon. If you hover over it, it will tell you all the requirements to complete the content in that instance, like which masteries you need. So if you can't remember which is the wing that requires ley line gliding, this is an easy way to check without having to enter the wing or Google it. Speaking of obvious things I didn't notice for years, did you know the Mystic Forge has a refill button? I'm sure half the people watching this are like, duh, but I gambled for way too many Mystic Clovers before I noticed this. Just make something, then click the refill button to auto-add the same ingredients to quickly make it again. Sadly, you still have to wait for the completion pop-up, but it's still a big help. Similarly, if you're at a crafting station and you run out of a specific ingredient, you can just right-click on it and then click Buy More at Trading Post. You can even keep the crafting window open so you can go through the entire recipe and buy what you need all in one sitting and then just go pick it up at once. There are actually quite a few small details around the Guild Wars 2 UI that a lot of people miss, but are really helpful and show how much the devs cared about usability here. For example, on the dye panel, you can change how dyes are sorted, like by material or hue. When you're looking for a specific color, this might make it easier to find, especially if the one you want has a difficult name to remember. The equipment panel is another example where they went the extra mile to make things just a little more user-friendly. You can right-click tabs and then copy and paste them to other tabs, allowing you to easily copy over an existing template instead of starting a new one from scratch. This can make it way faster when setting up new builds that are otherwise fairly close to existing builds. If you don't want to copy an entire tab, you can also right-click a specific piece of equipment and then send a copy off to another tab. And on the Customize menu for equipment, you can check these boxes to apply your stat selections and upgrade component selections to all other equipment, or at least those that can still be modified, like with legendary gear. These checkboxes are there on trinkets too. Now, moving away from the equipment panel, have you ever noticed how some skills have this weird shape to the channel indicator bar, where it's really skinny and then it becomes wider? The skinny portion is actually to indicate where the skill is being activated, and the wide portion shows when it's actually doing whatever it does. You can see this really clearly with something like Overload Air on Tempest. That tiny window of opportunity is actually available on pretty much any channeled skill, but not all of them show where the point of no return is. Guild Wars 2 has tons of small, subtle examples where the game really tries to quietly nudge you into doing things to help you succeed or stop you from doing things to your detriment. You probably already know that it likes to highlight your CC skills when the enemy has a Defiance bar up, but it will similarly put a red glow on range skills when your target is out of range. That's nice of them. Going out into the game world more, this one might have helped you without you even noticing. Some of the open world chests, like the Noxious Pods and Heart of Thorns maps, have a glow effect that's hidden when you're looking right at them, but it's visible when the chest is hidden behind the environment. This way, you can spot those reward chests even when they're tucked behind a wall or a hill. Another thing to keep in mind when you're out doing events in open world is this cross swords icon that appears on the map and over certain enemies. For the longest time, I thought it was just to indicate that there was a combat-based event in this area or something along those lines. What it actually means is that those enemies are the ones that contribute to the event's progress. Sometimes you'll have a ton of trash mobs in the area, but if you're trying to clear the event fast or if there's risk of failure, you can prioritize the enemies with this icon above their heads instead of wasting time on the trash. Those open world events are often cause for people to drop some floor food for others to grab, but sometimes I'm hesitant to pick some up, like if I already have the effects of a specific food on, and I'm not sure if the floor food is better or worse for what I need. Well, if you click the food with your mouse, then hover over this icon up in the target nameplate, it will actually show you the effect tooltip, explaining what the food will do if you do decide to indulge. Finally, for anyone who's been frustrated with jumping puzzles in this game, you'll probably be interested to know that the jumping system in Guild Wars 2's physics engine actually cheats, but not in the way you might be thinking. In game development, sometimes making the most perfect and realistic physics engine doesn't always result in making the most fun game. So devs employ little hidden features to help the player out and just make the game feel better. Point to practically any modern platformer and it's almost guaranteed that it uses a thing called Coyote Time. This is an actual industry term, which is a reference to how in cartoons, characters will often hang in the air for a brief moment before gravity catches up with them and they fall to their hilarious death. And that's exactly what Coyote Time does in games. It gives the player just a brief window of opportunity where even if they have technically run off the ledge of a platform, as long as they hit their jump button during the short time, the game still gives it to them and it completes a successful jump. So if you've ever noticed that the game let you jump even though you started to fall for a brief instant, then you can thank Coyote Time for saving you. In fact, Guild Wars 2 even takes it a step further. I don't know if there's a term for this, but sometimes if you go for a jump and you're just short of making it, the game will just give it to you anyway and snap you onto the platform that you were only pixels away from reaching. There are a ton of hidden features in this game designed to make your life easier. I feel like I've really only scratched the surface here. Are there any tips or tricks in Guild Wars 2 that you've discovered? Let me know in the comments, maybe it'll end up in the next video. I've been keeping a running list for things like these, so if you find trivia like this interesting, leave a thumbs up. If you haven't already, I hope you'll consider subscribing, and as always, thanks for watching.